was thinking about some of the earliest memories of their community partnerships. I remember when myself and my brothers were, 8, 9, 10 years old, and somehow they convinced us to sell all of our toys on our front lawn to raise money for the Vietnamese boat people that were coming over in the 1970s. It could have been a piano they donated to an organization. It could have been them saving the Chatham fireworks one year. And there's just so many things that they've done over the years. And it's really become a part of who we are as their children, and it's really become a part of what our business is.
Community service was just a part of what my parents did all the time, whether it was working for the Police Services Board or the Board of Education, as my mother did, or raising money for the hospital or the Jewish community or the Art Gallery of Windsor, or my dad's participation in the Board of Canada Scholarship Trust. It was just a part of their everyday activity and a part of their careers, and something that I and I think my brothers took for granted.
We were a family that got together every night for dinner and talked, and they shared what was going on with them. That's one of the reasons I think their values and the way that they have held their values close to them and their principles close to them has become so important for me, is because they were always present.
I was trying to look at people in a community and what they're like, and you sometimes have people who don't do anything in a community, some people who donate financially, and some people who donate financially and give a lot of their time, and they really fall into that third category.
Bill and Rochelle invited me several times over to their home, and the purpose was to come over, and they would have invited somebody else from the community, and they just wanted to have a 2 or 3 hour dialogue about community issues, provincial issues, political discussions, and I've thought they are probably two of the most interesting people to talk to and to have a civil dialogue about the way our community needs to develop.
My first thought is that inspired isn't really the right word, because for me it's more fundamental than that. Being a part of giving back, being a part of finding ways to reinvigorate our community, finding ways to support the health and well-being of our community is an integral part of my character at this point in time, and that is because of my family. That is because of my parents.
When I think about my parents today and try to understand this rather extraordinary level of commitment that they've both had and have long had to community service, I have a theory that several factors help explain it. One is the fact that they were both the children of immigrants from Eastern Europe who had to fight very hard to get ahead in Canada. The second is that they both grew up without a lot of money. And the third is that they grew up or became adults in a particularly idealistic time in Windsor and in Canada, when they both believed that making a better Canada, a better Windsor, really improving the community was possible, and it was something that they were committed to personally and politically. And what all of this did for them, I think, is contribute to a sense that they were very lucky to be where they were in their lives, that they couldn't take it for granted, that Canada and Windsor had given them and their families and their parents a lot, and that it was therefore an obligation of theirs to give back as much as they could.
Again, United Way continues to be a great example, because that was an organization where I saw my father playing a very active role in campaign and cabinet and in a board way for many, many years. Something that was very, very important to him, and an area that, because United Way's mission is so broad and sort of fundamental, I think it really overlapped in some respects with the things that had been important to him.
They don't get involved in causes just for the sake of getting involved in causes. And they don't get involved in causes because they want their name plastered all over something. They get involved in causes that they believe will make a difference both in the life of our community, but in the life of individuals.
I'm Bill Tepperman, very lucky to still be married to Rochelle after 53 years.
I am the daughter of a mother who, from the age of 6, my age of 6 and my brother's age of 4, was raised by a single mother.
I was born into the business. I was born at the old Metropolitan Hospital just days before Christmas. Now, it was a tiny business at that time. It was my dad, my mother, and 1 or 2 other people. But my dad said, if you're going to be in the hospital and it's Christmas time and nobody had music, let me bring in a little table radio and you can all listen to the radio together. And that was probably the first sense of community that I ever had, being born into that community. Community sense probably began in my first year at university when I went to give blood for the very first time and realized you can begin to help people in ways you never thought of.
Bill and I both learned from our parents about giving, and our parents always set that example for us. As I mentioned, I grew up in a family where funds were very, very limited. My mother was a single mother. She was a very young widow with 2 little kids. Even so, money was always put aside for people who had less, because no matter what our circumstances were, there were always people who had less than we did. And Bill's parents the same. They looked after family members. They looked after other people who were needier.
Every issue that involves a human being is a big issue. Is it health? Is it education? Is it the ability to work together? Is it the ability to reduce crime? We have to work on all of those things. We can't do them all at the same time, and that's why there's the needs for so many different charitable thrusts. One individual cannot do everything that the community requires. All individuals, if they work together, can do what is required.
United Way reaches into many different pockets of need in the community. And that's why we feel United Way is so valuable and makes such an important contribution.
I think that what people need to know, I mean, they're reserved, Bill and Rochelle are reserved, but you don't have to talk to them long, and you know how much they love this community, and they want this community to prosper. And they don't see this community as prospering just because their business or other businesses are prospering. They see the community as prospering if they see the people in the community are living better lives.
Bill and Rochelle, congratulations on being the recipients of United Way's Leading the Way Award. You are truly leading the way in so many ways. You are inspiring the community to give back. You are truly leaders. Thank you for all that you do for United Way and our community.